Hello, my name's Alondra, and I am new to YouTube, and I'm starting my YouTube channel journey. And I wanted to show my May favorites and the media that I consumed this month. So I actually started creating this graphic last year, the intention of making it into like a book to just encapsulate who I was in that month and how I expressed myself, kind of like where I was at in that time of my life. But I kind of fell off. I wasn't consistent with it, and I didn't finish it. But I want to bring it back and share it with you all. We're going to start off with movies. So I watched Lost and Found. The movie's about a woman, and she's looking for this Chinese, Swedish sailor, and she hires him to help her look for him. And so recently got diagnosed with leukemia, so she's also possibly searching for a meaning of life. The main overarching goal or theme of this movie is you're searching for your purpose of life. Talks about hope and mortality as well. If you see me looking at the table, it's because I have my notes down here. Because I was like, I don't want to miss anything up or anything like that. So every bit and piece of life can be magic was one of my favorite quotes from this movie, because it just shows, I think it's beautifully said in the sense of like taking the time to slow down and realizing that it's true, like every piece and bit of your life can be magic. It can be special, if you think about it that way. When I was watching it, I was like, okay, this is cute, this is sweet. And then I got to the end. You can kind of expect these things to happen, but then I was like shocked that it did happen, but shocked in the way that it ended as well. I thought it was beautiful, and I really enjoyed this movie. If you're looking for a slow movie and that ponders like searching for the purpose of life, I would check this one out, Lost and Found. The second movie I want to talk about is The Girl Who Leapt Through Time. I love this animation movie so much. One of my favorite quotes from this movie was "Time waits for no one," and you see it's a common theme and quote that's used in the movie, and it's true, because like regardless or not, everybody's living through the same timeline. Like we all have the same 24 hours, but they're not the same 24 hours for each of us. And so knowing that time waits for no one just kind of motivates you or makes you think like, hey, like if I don't do this now, the years are going to pass by. If I keep saying I want to do something and a year later it still hasn't been done, and then 2 years later and then 3 years later, and it's like you never made the effort, it's like, well, the time passes anyways, and the time waits for nobody. So like as much as you'd want maybe to wait for the right moment or something like that, like if you just don't do it, if you don't put yourself out there and attempt to do it, then the time is just going to pass by either way, so might as well try it. But I thought this was a really cute adolescent coming of age movie, and the main character, the girl, she suddenly has like the powers to travel back in time, and as an adolescent you like use it carelessly, and sooner or later you're gonna see or be impacted by the consequences, and she soon realizes like the consequences of using her power irresponsibly. So she has to figure out how to save the future of her life and her friend's life as well. So it's another slow, beautiful movie. I enjoyed it. There's like some funny moments in there too, which were quite enjoyable as well. Mind Game, which was absolutely just crazy and amazing in the best way possible. Like I have never in my life seen a movie like Mind Game, and I was truly so surprised by the animation styles, the story, and just everything was so new and fresh to me that I was just absorbing all of it. And this movie, Nishi, he's the main character, and he encounters the Japanese mafia, and then he ends up in a place you would never expect, along with his childhood crush and her sister. So it's a very avant-garde, psychedelic movie, really talking about the courage to live fully. It's obscure and experimental, and really it's just showing that like life is what you make of it. In this whole movie, like those are the main themes, like life is what you make of it, and to have the courage to live fully, because having the courage to live fully is what ultimately motivates Nishi, the main character, to come back to life. I don't want to spoil it too much because I think it's really awesome and it's a really amazing movie, but that's what I'll just say. Like it encourages him, like the will to live fully, which is what encourages him to come back to life, essentially. And as I'm watching this, like I am very much into, how we always say like in another life or in another time, and I think this movie kind of encapsulates that, like the infinite possibilities of what we could be and what we could have been, like the power of turning potential into reality as well. And just also showing like what happens if you choose to stay in your comfort zone versus not staying in it and seeing what's possible and what kind of lives you can live. If you choose to have the courage to live fully. And in the end, like there's montages in the movie that just basically represent like the infinite possibilities of the characters' lives. It's just, like I said, it's so experimental and psychedelic, and it's a trip for sure, and it's an enjoyable one. It just really gives you a fresh perspective, and honestly, it just makes me feel more compelled to live fully and have the courage to, because life is what you make of it, and if you keep saying you want these things but you don't do anything to achieve them, then maybe you don't want them as much. But if you do, there's so much to look forward to, so either way, live your life fully. So one of my favorite quotes from this movie was, your life is the result of your own choices. And that's so true, like you choose how you want to live your life, and your choices will ultimately lead you to what you want to accomplish. So again, amazing movie. I would really recommend it. I loved it, and I feel like it came at the perfect time in my life to watch it, to just take the risk and try to do what I want, because the only person that can really stop you from doing what you want to do and achieve your dreams is yourself. And then the last movie I want to talk about is Lost in Starlight. This is a story about a female astronaut, and she's traveling from Earth to Mars in like the middle of just beginning a new relationship to her. It's not something she had planned. So it just kind of talks about long distance relationships, ambition, personal grief that she's dealing with as well. And also highlighting the intersection of the past and the future. And just for like a visual, there's about 140 million miles between Earth and Mars. So this is a long distance relationship for sure. And it's just kind of showing how she's navigating that while also dealing with her personal grief and her ambition to get there. So one of my favorite quotes from this movie was, somewhere in the starlight, there's someone forever always cheering you on. I think taking into context the amount of miles between Earth and Mars, it just kind of puts it into perspective that like, you can always have that one person that is always going to be cheering you on and cheering for you. And I thought that was just so sweet, because it just shows that like somebody really deeply cares about you, no matter the lengths, no matter the distance. Like they'll be there for you, they'll wait for you, they'll support you and understand you. And I think those are important for long distance relationships. I love the animation too. It's futuristic, but also grounded in the sense that there's not just like full on like flying cars or like high level like technology. There's also still some like analog pieces on there as well. Those are the 4 movies that I liked this month. And now we can talk about the books that we watched. But first, I'm gonna take a little sip of this matcha coconut water that I made. I read 2 books this month. I try to read about 2 books a month because it kind of just keeps me on track. So the first book that I read was The Guest Cat, a meditative Japanese book that follows the life of a married couple in a small Tokyo town. They're being visited by a neighbor's cat named Chibi. So Chibi starts spending time with this couple. So this is not their cat, and along the days, like the more frequently Chibi comes and hangs out with them and visits them, they start to like take care of Chibi. This type of book kind of really slowed me down, and I think it's meant for that. This book, I would say, feels like being in the comfort of your own home in the summer when it's just warm enough and you have the windows or the door open and the wind is going by. There's enough sunlight in your room. Kind of a long explanation, but that's what this book kind of felt like. It felt very slow and very intentional. It highlights like the impermanence of like just everything, and like how everything is fleeting, like every moment in our life is not, it doesn't stay, it doesn't last, and it's fleeting. It talks about how to navigate that and how the characters navigate this as well. It also highlights connection and love, those 2 themes within the couple. Having Chibi kind of just sparked things up a little bit more and kind of brought light to their relationship again. This book really just is talking about like appreciating the mundane and slowing down intentionally. And I think if that's kind of like your vibe, I would definitely check it out. It's a pretty short read, pretty small book, so it's not that long. It's really comforting, but it's a sweet one. And if you want to feel like you're laying down in a sunlit living room in the summer with the breeze going through, check it out. The second book I read was Carl Sagan's The Pale Blue Dot. It's a bit thicker, but this is the book, and I really love, philosophical books, especially the ones about like space and humanity, our place in the universe. Carl Sagan does an amazing job at just kind of saying things poetically and beautifully that you can easily resonate with. So The Pale Blue Dot by Carl Sagan is a scientific reflection of humanity's place in the universe. Sometimes where we think about it and we're like, we're just living on this rock called Earth, but it's so much more than that. Like everything that the Earth had to endure to become Earth, and for us to become humans, and it just dives into that. And this book was actually inspired by the photograph taken by Voyager 1 in 1990. It talks about the cosmic humility, interplanetary exploration, environmental stewardship, global unity and peace, the value of science. And ultimately, this book just really left me full of more wonder than I already was about the universe and the Earth, but also more appreciation for my own existence along with the existence of Earth. It's a really beautiful book. So those were the two books I read. It was a lighthearted one and one full of wonder. Okay, so now we will talk about some stuff that I bought that I really enjoyed this month. Everything just aligned for me this month, I think, and I ended up scoring a vintage space tee that said "You Are Here" on it, just kind of showing how grand the universe is and how small we really are. And just the way that things synchronized was that I had bought this shirt and it got delivered, and it was right when I was starting to read The Pale Blue Dot. And the first chapter, it's called "You Are Here." So what are the coincidences in that they just sync up like that? I love this shirt. I got it from Depop. I also got a flexible incense holder from High Tide Store downtown LA. This is the incense holder. It comes flat, but you can actually curve this to however you want. I was looking for a specific type of incense holder, and none of them piqued my interest until I saw this one that you can curve it to however you want. On the website, they had demonstrated it like this, so I liked the little curve that it had. This is how I've been using it, so that's how it is. It's pretty lightweight, but yeah, it's stunning. She's simple. And then from the same store, I ended up buying this little Penco clear clip, and I've been using it alongside with one of my other favorite purchases of my little Sudoku book. I actually wanted to start learning how to do Sudoku because I wanted to kind of just cut down on my doom scrolling time and just do something that's intentional for my brain, give me back some brain cells a little bit. When I do solve them, I'll place the clip on the other side of the book, so it's lays more flat. And I've also just been on the hunt for finding intentional art pieces to fill my apartment with, and when I came across this one on Instagram, I thought this one was stunning. It's just it's beautiful. I've actually been wanting to get this same dog, but I'm not sure if you've seen, I'll probably insert a picture of it, but the dancing dog. So I've been wanting those too. I just haven't found the perfect ones that I want that are up to my style. So I thought this was kind of in the meantime, this is just perfect. I love this one so much, and I'm excited to see where I'll put it. I recently bought these cropped barrel jeans from Old Navy. I ordered them online, and I got a petite, and they were perfect for my size. 100% cotton. I think they're perfect for the summertime, so I will be wearing these a lot. As you can see here, those are the pants, and that's the shirt that I bought. Paired them with some tabby flats, and this outfit really encapsulated just my style and my interests as well. This little section, I just kind of talk about things that I made. This was just an outfit creation that I made that I really enjoyed. And then I have a custom letter form that I make because I am a graphic designer. So to keep up with my creative touch, I like to create custom letter forms, just to explore and be creative. So this one was actually inspired by the Voyager while I was reading The Pale Blue Dot. So it's the V, and then you can't really see it on the PDF, but right there it's a little sphere, and that's supposed to be Earth. you know, so it's just kind of like showing like how far the Voyager has gone and like how small we are. Just kind of like highlighting like the pale blue dot, you know, just like the size of it and how small we are. I hand drew it first, and then I made this on Illustrator. In the past too, this would be like where I would create or bake a new dessert and I would put it there, but I didn't have time actually in May to make any desserts. But I did eat a miso banana caramel cookie, I think, from Bread Girl. She's a local baker here in my town. I do ikebana arrangements monthly as another form of creative expression, and this is the one that I created for the month of May. I thought it was beautiful. I love these surprise lilies that I used, the pink ones. I've never seen any like these. I love creating ikebana arrangements because of the impermanence of them. Just knowing, you know, like flowers are not meant to live for as long as you want them to live, you know, they're supposed to just like help you slow down and just take a moment to appreciate how they are at that moment. So these are some albums and songs that I have been listening to for the month of May. So the first album that I started the month off with was actually the Blade Runner soundtrack from the 1982 movie, Blade Blues. I think that's what it's called. That song is just the perfect ambient song you could ask for. Just imagine, I'm playing my Blade Runner soundtrack, I'm wearing my vintage space tee, and I'm reading the pale blue dot. Like, it's perfect, it's wonderful, and it's lovely. Like, I was having the best time, and that was the perfect soundtrack to read this book to. I listened to Rez's album, How I Do, and this album is such an amazing blend of genres. There's neo soul, it has alternative R&B, it has indie rock and alternative rock all in one. My favorite song from this album was Ice King. I was listening to Crane Kiss by Tamron. It's dream pop, it's shoegaze, it's very pretty, very delicate. I enjoyed it a lot. And then of course Arirang by BTS is on here. I saw them in May, and I have been listening to this album nonstop since they came out, and I love it. I love BTS, and this album it's amazing. It's hip hop, it's trap, it's alternative, it's EDM. It's just a mix of genre. Next up, we have Absolute by Roller Coaster. This is an acid jazz, modern indie pop genre album by a South Korean group. My favorite song on here is Last Dance. Some songs that I was really into, you know, was Other People by Beach House, you know, more dream pop, along with Walk Down by Phantogram, you know, that's more trip hop, indie pop. Lies in the Eyes of Love by Part Time. It was actually, I think that song was released in May, and I really like that song. It has sweet lyrics, you know, it's synth pop, it's new wave. Stay With Us by Soul. That one was actually more dream pop and new wave as well. Kind of reminded me a little bit of house music. And then Feels Like Magic by Sports. You know, I think Sports is one of those bands that just like never gets old. You know, I really enjoy their music. I think Feels Like Magic was actually a song that I either haven't heard or haven't heard in a while, so it sounded very new to me. But yeah, those are my favorite albums and songs of the month of May. This is my May favorites, things that I bought, media that I consumed. So yep, that is basically it. This is a bit chatty and very new for me, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you found some interest in the movies that I shared, the books that I talked about, the songs and albums that I mentioned. Thank you for watching till the end. Let me know if I should also make a playlist that has the songs and albums that I talked about in this video. Have a happy June, and I will see you on the next favorites video. Bye.